So I hear a lot of this morning. Colin, Warriors should have won. They played better. Not in the second half. Since when are legacies in the NBA framed on first halves? Do we talk about Tom Brady's first halves in the Super Bowl? He's never thrown a touchdown pass in the first quarter of any of them. All those great Michael Jordan highlights, those are second half highlights. Lakers were the better team in the second half. In fact, I'll take a different tack than everybody I've heard this morning. The Lakers should feel great about themselves. If I'd have told you before the game, LeBron had his worst half as a Laker, AD was terrible. Steph Curry was on fire. The Warriors hit 44% of their threes. Yeah, Lakers still won. You go, what? Warriors should have won. They didn't. The Lakers had no juice. They had no juice. LeBron and AD were just not ready to play. Dennis Schroeder played as poorly as you can play. And they won. Listen, man, in 2021, that game would have been over for a lot of teams. We saw Charlotte the other night. They bailed at half. They just bailed at half. That game could have been over at half. Steph's on fire. Steph was easily the best player on the floor last night. And in the NBA playoffs, now you've seen this the last 4 or 5 years as it become more of a three-point shooting league. Team blowouts are everywhere. I mean, in the 2016 NBA Finals, Warriors and the Cavs, 6 of the 7 games were blowouts. That's what happens against the best teams. I mean, think about this. You go back to those 2016 finals, Game 2, I think the Cavs lost by 33. Game 3, they won by 30. That is the new NBA. Because you get behind, you're playing against the great shooter like Steph, you get kind of desperate, you got to catch up, and you can't hit your threes, and a 9-point deficit becomes 16, becomes 28, game over half. I mean, think about this. If you're a Laker fan, Steph was amazing. Draymond Green was a major headache for AD. I thought Andrew Wiggins played really, really well. Steve Kerr's a great coach. Warriors shot 44% on threes. And the Lakers won. And LeBron played his worst first half. In fact, LeBron plays poorly so infrequently, I can't remember a half like that. I mean, he had no legs. He had no juice. Too much Drake. They went out the night before. So, in fact, I look at the Lakers last night. I'm like, oh, this is why they should be favored to win the championship. They did things that other teams can't do. They were great late in the fourth quarter. The Clippers aren't. They played great defense late. Brooklyn can't. They adjusted. Charlotte didn't. They played poorly for long stretches and won. That's hard to do in the NBA. That a lot of teams would have folded last night in the first half. So if you look at what's happening to the NBA since the three-point shot, players are now so effective. I mean, centers now shoot them. Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis can pull out and shoot a three. You fall behind by 12 and 13, 14 points. A lot of teams pack it in. In playoff games, they pack it in. In finals, they pack it in. I thought the Lakers to come back and win last night when so many things worked against them was fantastic. Their biggest dilemma for the Lakers, and they adjusted. This is what they do. This is why Frank Vogel's a good coach. They really struggle against certain teams having Anthony Davis and Andre Drummond on the floor at the same time. They're a little too heavy-footed. And Anthony Davis doesn't like to play the center or what they call the five or what they call the post. He doesn't like to. He's more of a finesse big. He wants to be out, moving around. He doesn't like, but they made him in the fourth. Get in there, big fella. Play the five. Drummond did not play a minute in the fourth quarter, and LeBron and AD were great. But I saw adjusting. I saw fight. I saw resilience. I saw a team play poorly come back. I don't look at it any other way. I don't understand this. Warriors should have won. We don't frame legacies on good first halves. The Warriors were a hot mess in the third quarter. They had a ton of turnovers. The game went sideways. And the Lakers, in the end of the basketball game, the last 7 minutes, who was the better team? The Lakers. They should have won. Nice performance. Now, let me get into this. This just cracks me up. Remember when Jalen Suggs hit that great shot for Gonzaga, and everybody's like, oh, it's luck. And then Mark Few came out and he said, no, he practices that all the time, like 35-footers. We practice late-game situations. And LeBron James, let's just show it to you, put the sound up. Everybody's saying, oh, it's very lucky. So here's the sound up on it right here. He didn't grab the basketball and throw it. It wasn't a two-handed chest throw from 40 feet. He maintained his shooting form. That's a jumper. That's how he shoots jumpers. I'm going to show you now 5, 6 different LeBron shots. Just because you can't do something doesn't mean it's luck if somebody else can. LeBron can make that shot. Most guys in the NBA don't. LeBron practices these shots. You may think, you think that's out of control. I've seen LeBron hit that bank shot, sorry to the radio audience, 20 times. That shot, he's leaning. LeBron practices these shots. Phil Mickelson's a golfer. Phil has what they call a flop shot. He'll use it twice a year. It doesn't mean he doesn't practice it all the time. Just because an athlete does something infrequently doesn't mean they don't practice it regularly. Remember the great Michael Jordan shot where he switches hands, right? You think he never practiced that? You think Michael just in the moment is like, try something I've never done before. Michael had done that either by himself, at practice. This is what players do. Steph Curry took a shot last night, 6 minutes, about 6:20-something I think it was fourth quarter last night, 26 feet, leaning the wrong way. I'm not sure he got a good grip on the ball. And I'm like, man in his face. Well, that's what he practices. Steph Curry's out there for an hour and a half. I remember as a kid going to the Kingdome in Seattle. It was a terrible place for basketball games. It was a barn. And I wanted to go watch Larry Bird. And I can remember I had binoculars because I didn't have any money. We had, bad seats. Larry Bird's out there at like 3:45 in the afternoon. Like the minute we could get in as fans, I was sitting there at the gate and I rushed in and I watched Larry Bird's out there an hour before everybody shooting threes when they didn't even shoot threes. It's like, yeah, that's what they do. LeBron practices that. You talk to anybody. We had Tim Grover on yesterday, MJ's trainer. You don't have to beg these guys to come to the gym. The greats practice. Phil Mickelson practices the flop shot all the time. Steph practices all these goofy shots that go in. LeBron's not throwing it. He's not doing a chest heave. He's maintained his form. He's maintaining his form. So you watch dunk contests. Those guys have practiced goofy dunks they're going to use once in their life. So that to me is just a shot. If you maintain your form and you're probably, by the way, LeBron called for the ball. LeBron set himself, he knows where he is on the floor. He knows what the clock is. He set himself up in a spot that he can hit that shot. And luck. A little dramatic on the ice stuff, but it's not, people are like, oh, he's by the R at the Staples Center. Steph Curry weighs 60 pounds less, has less muscle mass. Steph shoots from that area all the time. LeBron's as strong as any player in the NBA. That's a 33-foot shot, not 70. By the way, LeBron talked about it after the game. They practice this, like Mark Few said with Jalen Suggs. Like Gonzaga practices, all right, 8 seconds left. This is what coaches do at practice. 8 seconds left, no timeout, go up the court. This is what they do all day. This season lasts 200 days. Do you think they practice this stuff? It's just this. It's like Hoosiers. Backdoor cuts, do it over. Guys are goofing around all the time, practicing crazy shots. Coaches give them time to do their independent stuff. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.